Hey, and welcome back to the Brewed for Life podcast. Don't forget, we also have the Instagram page, Brewed for Life Podcast. We also have Baines Brewing on Instagram. And if you can't find us on Spotify, we're also on iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. So plenty of sources to be able to check out the podcast and see what's going on. Also, there's usually some videos and some other things that I've been putting up on the YouTube channel just to kind of keep you up to speed and informed. Every morning, I do a 5 a.m., 5:30 a.m. Little rant. So check that out too. That's all on the Instagram page. So take the time, check it out. There's more to what's going on than just the podcast. So life. What is it that makes it so challenging? What is the opportunities for us to be better individuals in our lives, not just for ourselves, but for those people around us? How do you know when enough is enough when it comes to your friend group? How do you know when it's time to possibly move on from those friends and cut ties and no longer allow them to be, a part of your regular life? How do you know when friends are no longer friends anymore, that they're so close and know they're such an active part of your life that they are no longer friends, now they're family? Have you ever run into any of this kind of stuff or sat down and thought about where your friends fall into your life cycle and how they come and go, and the ones that stick around and the ones that, you actively take, an interest in following up with them and see how they're doing, and then vice versa. Do they actively follow up with you? I think those are things that are left unsaid. And I don't think people talk enough about them to be able to really articulate where is that line. I've always been a believer that friends are friends, and what I mean by that is I have friends that I don't talk to on a regular basis, that when we do get together or when we do talk, it's like time has never lapsed. There was never a breakdown in the communication. But I've also found with those friends that there is a genuine level of caring and a genuine level of interest in what's going on. It's just life gets in the way sometimes, and you don't have, I don't want to say the capacity, but life gets in the way, and there's too many other things going on where it's not at the forefront to, reach out or whatever. It's just, it's not on your mind. And I think we all get to that point at, in life where work's really busy or your home life's really busy, or us right now, raising a 2-year-old and trying to find that happy balance of not losing ourselves within our relationship, and then also still continuing to be successful in our own right as far as work and, my individual ventures and Audrey's individual ventures. And I think what people fail to do in those times is who's contributing and who's willing to contribute, and then who isn't. What I have found at times, during life, is that it's okay to let people go, and it's okay to move on, and it's okay to just say, this is just not where I want to be anymore, and I what are you contributing to my life, and what am I contributing to yours? And if there's not much there, and not even, an active attempt to continue that friendship to move forward, then I think that's when it's officially reached a point where it kind of dissolves. And when you do talk or you do see each other, there's a little bit of a sense of awkwardness. And I think that's also how that maybe that relationship has kind of reached its end. I've gotten to that point a few times with friends, over the course of time, and sometimes I think back and kind of reevaluate those situations and say, maybe I was the one who didn't put enough effort forward. But as I've talked about before, everybody's got to come to the table, and there needs to be equal effort. There needs to be a continual effort from both sides at some point to want to keep that relationship together. Unfortunately, like the last group of friends that I really had, they're all good people. And, sometimes I do miss seeing them or talking to them or spending time together with them. What actually drove us apart, from my standpoint, was it just seemed like I was pushed to the outside. And I've talked to two of them about this. And I just kind of felt like I was on the outside looking in, and that I was more of an afterthought instead of, a part of the group that I thought I was a part of. And so that kind of stuff started happening, which it is what it is, like sometimes I didn't even want to, be a part of whatever was going on. And sometimes it's just nice to at least be thought of to get the invite. The other thing is that at the time was a lot of deep-rooted political stuff. Like I think we all felt kind of the same way at that time, but there was so many other things going on in my life that like I didn't have time to focus on all of this political stuff. Like I just couldn't let it consume me. I was in a marriage that I was unhappy with. I was seeing somebody on the side who all I wanted to do was spend time with them because they made me feel whole. They made me feel respected. They made me feel cared about. They made me feel loved. And those are all things that I wasn't getting in any capacity whatsoever in the relationship that I was in. And now I'm not happy about the course that it took to get where I am. It's definitely a frowned upon thing in the world. It's way more common than people care to even admit to. But I'm happy that I am where I am now, and I'm happy that I took the opportunity to see what a relationship was really about, to see what love really is. Because if I hadn't done that, then I would probably be stuck in a position where I was miserable and unhappy and drinking a lot because I didn't like the situation that I was in. And I like there's that saying, you fake it till you make it, and you just, pretend that everything's okay, even though inside you're not feeling okay. So at the time I had this, this friends group, and that's really all they talked about. Like, we were all in a big group text, and it was just constant, like, political this and political that and blah, 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 blah. And I just got to the point, where I said, I can't do this anymore. There is more to life than this. There's got to be more for us to talk about. We had more things to talk about before all this bullshit happened. Why are we not still talking about this stuff or talking about other things that are equally deserve a conversation? But instead we talk about the same things over and over and over and over again. And it used to drive me nuts. So I just separated myself and spoke my piece, which anybody who's known me for any extended period of time knows that for the most part I'm pretty fucking unfiltered, and I always have been. So I shared my piece. That kind of led to a separation of everything. And, like I said, not that they aren't good people. It seems like that those relationships may have just gotten to the point where they've run their course. And I don't know how to feel about it just yet. I don't know what course I want to take. Do I want to try to put myself back into this group and see where it goes, because it could be okay, or do I just kind of move on? When they were very well aware of when my marriage fell apart and why, because my ex felt it necessary to pick up the phone and call everybody that she possibly had a phone number for that I was friends with and aired the dirty laundry out, which is a whole nother topic. I would never do that to any of her friends. I would never pick up the phone and say, well, like these are the reasons why I felt this way. And no matter how many times I shared the things that were bothering me, they were continually ignored. I would never call her friends and say that it's just not right to do. It's not fair. Just because of the relationship didn't work out, and we, my needs, I didn't feel like were being met or even heard. That doesn't mean that I'm going to go and air out her dirty laundry to her friends at that time. And she did do that. And at no point during that process did any of the people that were part of this group pick up the phone and say, hey man, what's going on? Like what happened? Like why is all this stuff going on? And I think that's the part that I struggle with. I struggled with the fact of being pushed to the outside, and then, they say that your true friends really come to the forefront when you need them the most. And what you find is that those are the people that are by your side through thick and thin. And regardless of your life's decisions, they are still there. And they may not agree with your decisions, but they still make sure that you're okay as an individual. I just kind of felt like at that time when you knew I was going through some shit, I just felt like nobody picked up the phone and called and said, hey man, what's going on? How's everything going? And that's just, I don't know if that's just life or if that's just really a true barometer as to whether or not those are people that you need to keep in your life. Now, there's also the other side of it that, like I said, where do I need to take a step back and think about what I brought into those relationships, and did I do enough to share where I was? And to be honest, at the time, I really didn't think that I was in a place where I could tell people what I was doing. So this whole time where I was married, unhappy, and spending as much time talking to and trying to see Audrey as I could, I wasn't in a place, even with my closest of close friends, where I felt like I could share that. And it wasn't that I was embarrassed about it, because I was happier, and like I said, I felt more of whole as an individual with Audrey than I ever did at home. I was too, scared, I guess. I didn't want to hear the feedback right away. Feedback, I guess, is good. I don't know. I don't know why I chose the path I did when it came to that. But once everything started to come to an end, I openly shared what the heck was going on. And some people were not happy with the decision that I made and how I went about it. Some people just kind of looked at it as, okay, like, so this shit happened and now you are where you are. Now what? Now what are you going to do, and how are you going to go through this process? And there was probably 3 of my friends at the time who were there. And everybody else, just like previously in my life, had just kind of disappeared. Like they didn't even attempt to be there for me or for anyone else. And actually, I don't know if they were there for her. I know that she went to like a Friendsgiving thing the year that we actually separated. And I know that she went there and aired out dirty laundry and whatever else to as many people would listen to her. Even knowing all of that, it still seemed like I was on the outside looking in. Like I was the one that was in a position where I could really use help from who my friends were at the time. And I just was left standing there holding the bag. And, I would have even been okay with like, dude, what the fuck were you doing? What were you thinking? Why didn't you just do this or this? Because I think friends need to be upfront and honest with you about what their thoughts are. I think that that's what a true friend is. They're going to tell you the hard things, whether you want to hear it or not. I don't understand why none of that happened. It has kind of changed my perception and how I look at those people going forward. I don't know what the right course is now. I could just leave it as it is, which is there's definitely a separation, and we don't really talk, and once in a while there'll be like a message sent about, doing something, but I have yet to do any of those things. I mean, there's only been one opportunity for there to be a real change in the relationship and an open invite from my end to be able to continue to build on that. But even after that, there wasn't much value put into it. So I guess that tells me everything I need to know. I'm not saying I'm a needy person, because I'm not. I expect to get back what I put in. And if that's what I'm getting, then okay, then that's on me. Then I failed too. But if it's just if it's just me being continued to be on the outside looking in, then I'd rather not want to be in. I'd rather just kind of move on with my life and do my own thing and move on. I'm pretty happy with my life now. It's very quiet. It's very content. I feel whole for the first time in years, maybe even decades. I'm the happiest I've been in a long time. I am incredibly happy to be able to have the outlets like this podcast and the YouTube channel to be able to share some of this stuff, because it is very beneficial for an individual to talk, therapy or whatever. Talking about this stuff in this podcast has been extremely beneficial for me, which is why I had alluded to this a few times about potentially starting another platform and continuing to do this podcast, because I really do enjoy doing this. I've been thinking about starting another platform for fathers, for sons, to be able to kind of get together and share our experiences and help each other, understand that we're not the only ones that are going through this as an individual. There are many other people in the world that have also traveled the same road. And some of us have been successful to sort through all of the cobwebs to be able to move on with our lives. And some of us are kind of stuck in a cycle where we just keep doing the same thing over and over again and refuse to face those things because we either feel like we're on the island by ourselves, or because we're too embarrassed to face it or talk about it. And that's why I think I want to start this platform, because I want to be able to be there to share with people where I've been and hear some success stories from other people that may have gone through the same stuff. And I want to be able to help guide people, at the struggles of being a dad, and the struggles of being a dad and co-parenting, the struggles of being a dad and, having to have somebody else come in that's now a step parent and help them, and have them help you, raise your kid, and what it was like to be a step parent and try to help somebody raise their kid. And then there's also the other vantage point of like, okay, so I've also been a son, and what was my experience like growing up, and what were the kind of things I had to deal with growing up from my dad, and how did that help shape me to the person that I am now. And I think there's a huge opportunity for something like that. And I'm going to sit down and, I don't know, maybe start this week of really devising how I would like the platform to be rolled out, and a name, and how I'm going to, handle all of that stuff. But when that happens, there will be there'll be another Instagram page, because I want it to be completely dedicated to just that. And I don't know if I'll start a separate podcast for it, or if I'll just continue to integrate all of the things that involve in my life, the brewing, the mental health stuff, this being a fiance, being a dad, and just incorporating all of that into this. I think I'm just going to leave it as it is, but I do want anybody who listens to this podcast to reach out to me, shoot me a DM either at the Baines Brewing Instagram page or the Brewed for Life podcast page, and just tell me what you think. Tell me if you would want to be a part of a community where you get to meet with a group of guys and just kind of discuss different things and bounce stuff off of each other and kind of see where life can take us. Like, it's okay to fail at different times as a dad, because there's no manual to being a parent and there's no manual to being a dad. You just know what you have seen previously, and you know what you liked from it, and you know what you didn't like from it, and you know how it impacted you either way. But I think facing some of the things that you didn't like growing up, and trying to find a way to deal with those and also still be a good parent is never easy. I wouldn't even begin to understand what it's like to be a mom on the other side, carrying a child for 9 months, going through childbirth, all the hormonal changes, the postpartum, all of the things of, like, I see it with Cameron, where he loves me and he loves spending time with me, but he is definitely emotionally attached to Mom, and rightfully so, because they were so close for so long while she was carrying him. I think there's a lot of things that aren't talked about, and I definitely want to be a part of the dad side of things. Audrey is 100%, trying to work something out as far as a platform with the Mommy Network for moms, and being able to refocus on yourself and get yourself back to feeling like a whole person. And I think it's important that I try to do that for the dads on the other side, and just create a big community where people can just, be the person that they are, share their experiences, positive and negative, things that have worked, things that haven't worked, and be able to have a place where we can all kind of grow together and not be judged for the decisions that we made. I think we all have nightmare stories, for things that happened while we were growing up that we wish we hadn't. I know I've got plenty of mine, but I think that's going to be the next step. So please shoot me a DM on either Baines Brewing or the Brewed for Life podcast. I want to hear what you have to say about this. You can also leave comments and stuff on Spotify, or check out the YouTube page. Leave me a comment there. I want to know what you guys are thinking, and I want some insight on to whether or not you would be on board with something like that. Lastly, as we go through the next couple of weeks, there'll be some announcements. Looks like I'm going to be partnering with somebody else to be able to, get some apparel lined up that also supports the message that this podcast does. So you guys will be looking forward to that. I'll be plugging it on the podcast, so please look out for that. It's going to be really exciting. As always, thank you guys so much for listening. Please get back to me with any feedback as to, this podcast or any of the other ones or the other episodes, and tell me what you think. And we'll talk to you guys real soon.